Hi, sisters. Welcome to the Body Ally podcast. Here again. Hi, I'm Kerrie Nygard, host. Right here in the Body Ally podcast, we learn how to stop battling with our bodies and with food from a faith-based approach. We learn instead how to be an ally with our bodies, partnering with our bodies and accepting them as the gift that God intended them to be. Today, we're going to get into 2 hidden ways that are chronic within our society that are keeping women unhealthy. Now, these aren't based upon studies. These aren't based upon anything but what I have observed, and I've observed quite a bit. I've been in this space for years. I've brought over 1,400 women, working with them through my Freedom with Body and Food program, or FBF program. I have taught over, it's like 50 to 70,000 women thus far online, teaching them how to be in control with food. I have some experience in this space, and that's separate from my own experience of being a certified personal trainer with certification background in nutrition and all of those things. There's 2 things that I see that are so prevalent, so nuanced, so interwoven within our society that women don't even see them. And they're the very things that keep women just absolute obstacles from getting their health goals met. Most women that I work with want to release stored energy or fat off their body, or want to maintain weight that they have lost. They want to stop yo-yoing. And there's 2 things. The first one you've heard me talk about before. It's diet mentality, diet culture. And the second one is going to surprise you, okay? Now, there are a lot of things in our society that work against women. Why? Because of a history of patriarchy. I mean, even just simple things like women being studied in a well-represented way within the health industry, it doesn't happen. And therefore, drugs that are tested for women are actually tested on men historically. We don't have good guidelines for women's health, and I'm not even talking about those systemic type things that result from a patriotic type society. And I'm not angry about the past patriotic society. I just think that we're evolving from it, and that there's damage that has occurred for women because of it. Okay, so diet mentality. Where is diet mentality? Why is that the problem? Well, number 1, diet mentality is saying that a woman who looks a certain way is more valuable or acceptable. Okay, that a woman's body that looks this certain way, whatever the ideal beauty standard of the day is, and that changes, by the way. In the 90s, it was what we called the heroin chic look, which basically, not a heroine as in like a woman hero, as in like it looked like someone addicted to heroin. Collarbones, hips sticking out. That was the look that was sought after in the 90s when I was in high school. And then in the early 2000s, it was more about having larger back ends, right? We would learn there's all these exercises out there, and how do you get your backside to be bigger and rounder? And I can tell pretty well, according to what, if I were to ask a woman what the ideal body type, what she would regurgitate back to me would really resemble the generation that she grew up in. If a woman uses the word wispy arms, I know that she was probably from the 1960s when she was in high school or a young adult. And so just different terminology and ideas of what is ideal in a woman's body changes from age to age. So that's a moving standard already that's subjective. And this idea that a woman, the closer she can get her body to the beauty standard, which is just made up, by the way, then the more acceptable she is, the more confident she gets to feel about herself. And then in came the body positivity movement. We've seen that come in over the last several good things about the body positivity movement. But the problem with the body positivity movement is that it used to be that they would only hypersexualize certain sizes of bodies that would reflect that ideal beauty standard. And now with this celebration of this body positivity movement, we're going to be so positive that now we're going to hypersexualize all the different shapes of bodies. So we're not going to just objectify certain shapes of bodies. We're now going to objectify all the bodies, which is like, my goodness, you'll see women that's like, you should be able to just, feel free to wear whatever you want. And that is what body positivity is. Body positivity is not about the types of clothes that you're comfortable wearing and how much coverage those clothes are. It has nothing to do with that. True body positivity is to understand what your body truly is. And I teach that your body is your vessel that has been given and created for you by God to house your soul, to house your spirit, so that you can be here on this earth, traveling throughout time here, so that you can have connections and relationships and gain experience, and so that you can also choose Jesus again here in this life, and that's not possible without a body. The biblically, the Bible tells us that our body is a temple. And so do we treat it like a temple that houses our spirit and the Holy Spirit? And that when we worship God and when we commune with God and when we pray and worship him, we aren't able to do that without a body here on this earth. So true body positively understand what your body is and view your body, as the gift that God intended her to be. And not to give up to the world its definition of what your body is. That is true what body positivity is. No longer looking to the world to validate your body's existence, but that you validate her existence and you accept her as the gift that God intended by how you live and how you care and love for her. Okay, so why does diet mentality, diet culture keep women from reaching their health goals? Well, when you diet, when you do these things, that food no longer becomes the means to nourish your God-given gift, your body. It now becomes the way by which you are able to become closer or further away from that ideal beauty standard. Thus, food now becomes the way by which you add to or take away from your value. This is just a made-up idea. I don't believe it. This is just what is all interwoven within this idea of diet culture. Now, food, I become good or bad based upon what I do and don't do. Or my day becomes good or bad based upon what I do and don't eat. This is just a made-up idea. And when we think in terms of being good or bad based upon how our body looks, in reflection of some made-up societal standard, and when we think in terms of ourselves morally being good or bad based upon our food choices, this creates an internal battle within ourselves. And if you've dieted before, you felt it before, the obsessive thinking about food, realize, or the out-of-control behaviors around food, the distrusting yourself around food, and you think you're the problem. But really what happens is that when you restrict food, something that is so basically core to survival, if you even just think in terms of restriction or scarcity around food, and especially if you've had a past history of really restricting food intake or totally eliminating large core food groups, then that survival response or that survival flip in your head becomes very sensitive, meaning your survival responses, biology takes over. And the symptoms of this survival switch being flipped, there's not an actual switch in there, but conceptually, you're then left with the symptoms of food noise, obsessive thinking about food, constant mental chatter about food. You're left with out-of-control behaviors around food, binge eating, all-day grazing, overeating at every meal, not being able to stop eating, eating past fullness consistently. Also just a general overall distrusting yourself around food. Diet mentality, diet culture tells us we need more willpower, we need more motivation, that we need to be less lazy, we need to actually buckle down and gear up, but that just trips that survival response even more. So when women diet in an effort to become acceptable in the world's eyes and in their own eyes because they've adapted and taken on the values of the world, they trip their biology, alarms going off, and the symptoms they're left with, they think are a reflection of a weakness within them, when really they're only a reflection of being human, all right? So back in 2015, when I was losing the baby weight again for the 5th time, and I don't know overall how many times I had lost weight up and down, up 30, down 30, up 50, down 50, blah, 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 all the up and down, right? From the time that I was young. And at this point, I could not stop thinking about food. I had lost the weight, thinking I could get to feel relief and move on with more important things in my life, like done that, check. But my brain wouldn't let me. Why? Because I had been so restrictive and so hyper-focused, and I had tripped my biology survival responses without knowing it, and I blamed myself for it, thinking it was a core problem within me, when really it was diet culture and diet mentality that is not compatible with the human brain. So women out there that think that they are weak, that they're accomplished in other areas of their life, but they just can't seem to get out together in this thing, and they blame themselves, you're wrong. It's not you. You're not the problem. It's diet culture, diet mentality, which is also tied up in this idea of patriarchy, that women earn value in society based upon their perceived level of beauty. And who's setting the perceived level of beauty? Mostly men, and then women buy into that. We see that with things like Victoria's Secret. I don't want to go too far down that road because that's not what this podcast is about, but just to realize that dieting makes you feel more out of control with food. It is, even if in the long run you're able to buckle down and gear up, in the short term and you get results, in the long run, that results in the actual weight loss. If you do it that way, you will be left with a disordered relationship around food and disordered behaviors around food. And usually you don't maintain it. So then you get the yo-yo effect, which in of itself is a disordered relationship with your body and food. It's difficult on your body to be gaining and losing all the time. When I first work with women, some women start to lose weight right away as they get connected with their body, maintain for a period of time, and they feel a sense of failure. When I want to say, have you ever maintained in your life? Have you ever simply maintained, are either always gaining or always losing, never learning how to just eat in a way that maintains their body? Okay, so the first biggest block to women's health that's like chronic and hidden within our society is diet culture, diet mentality. I will die on that hill. I mean, everything I teach is based upon that, okay? And based upon this core idea that we get rid of diet mentality when we connect. You know, diet mentality thinks in terms of being on or off track. I say there's no track to be on. We're always housed. We're always embodied within our body until the day we die. And I believe there'll be a resurrection so that we'll even choose our bodies again. Okay, so we want to be in line with that. What does it look like to choose my body right now in every moment, even if there's different health goals I have yet to achieve? So let me be really clear. Your worth as a woman, and you might be a man listening, it's true for you too, is not dependent and it does not change based upon how close you get towards or maintain a health goal. Losing or gaining weight does not add to or take away from your worth. And when you think of it in terms of that, even that in of itself trips survival responses in your brain, because part of our survival wiring is that we're hardwired to be in a group, to have a tribe. And when we're worried about others rejecting us or self-rejection based upon beauty standards, that also trips survival responses in our brain. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, diet culture, total trap for women, chronic, big block to health goals. Second one that may surprise you. Okay, so how many of you, let me just kind of like lead up to this a little bit. How many of you make a list to do for the day, and if you accomplish everything on the list, you feel right in the world? And if you don't accomplish the things on your list, or at least an acceptable number on that list, you feel that you are not acceptable, that you're a quote unquote good for nothing, that maybe I don't feel well today, therefore I haven't accomplished things, therefore I am what? I'm lazy, or I am whatever it may be, okay? This achievement-based merit system that we don't even realize is within our system, our culture, all interwoven. Realize this, and I make a list too. I'm not telling you not to make a to-do list for the day. What I'm asking you to conceive and invite you to change is the part where you think that you're more valuable by checking things off on your list and less valuable if you don't. You could lay on the couch all day, watching Netflix, eating popcorn, and you are just as valuable on those days as you are on the days when you accomplish everything on your to-do list and more. It is not possible for you to make yourself less lovable, acceptable, and worthy of acceptance. Why? Because you did not create yourself. So diet mentality is a problem, but also merit-based valuing of yourself. Why? This shows up in go, 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 do. There's this overdoing, overachieving, women trying to meet everybody else's goals and not even pausing until the end of the day. And at the end of the day, they're so tired and haven't given themselves permission to take little pauses throughout the day, to even reset. They don't even sit down to eat a meal because they're always on the go trying to meet other people's needs, that by the time they get to the end of the day and they think that it is a problem, a personal character flaw, if they're overeating at the end of the day, when that's the only time their own needs, to take a break, to take a rest, to find comfort, to find connection. What happens is that food is the only time that you pause, and so all your human needs are trying to get met through food, which possibly cannot meet those human needs. It's only a distraction from those human needs. And when I say human needs, I mean needs for connection, needs for variety, needs for entertainment, needs to be validated, needs to be accepted, right? Needs to having purpose. These different needs, if you're go, 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 do, and your nervous system is overstimulated, overwhelmed, then the result is that you will have a disordered relationship with your body. And oftentimes this will show up in disordered behaviors with food. When women are go, 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 do, and I was listening to a marketing thing online, and this particular marketer said that the mass majority of people you will find are maxed out on time, or at least they feel maxed out on time. They're overwhelmed with information, constant stimulation of information, and a low capacity to execute. Constantly getting information, overwhelmed, maxed out with time, and they're left exhausted in their nervous system to even be able to execute some kind of change that they desire in their life. A lot of them, because they have this go, 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 do, constantly getting information, is that they won't stay long enough with one line of pursuit, long enough to see any meaningful results. They're constantly jumping ship and playing squirrel. So the other day I was listening to a podcast or something, and someone had quoted Elon Musk. And this is not about liking Elon Musk or not. But what he said, someone asked him, is what is the most detrimental or harmful thing that you've seen created in the most recent, generation? And he said short form video, like reels and shorts and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I watch those. But the problem with them is that the constant novelty of swipe, even if it's good information, that constant novelty, your brain actually has a shut off appetite for food, a shut off appetite for sleep, a shut off appetite for, it has different like indicators of stopping. But when it comes to the pursuit of novelty, of intrigue, there's no shut off. And so swiping is constant dopamine hit, dopamine hit, constant intrigue, feeding this constant need for intrigue, novelty. And the result is that rather than feeling enlightened and enlarged and expanded by receiving all this information, it actually feeds off of you and you're left depleted. Our brains are not evolved to the place where we can go, consume through short-term information content, swiping on social media, thinking we're connecting with others, getting dopamine and serotonin as if we have, but not actually making meaningful connection, will leave you empty. When women are in go all the time, their ANS, their autonomic nervous system, is stuck in this activated side of the nervous system. Now, that's not a problem to be in the activated side of your nervous system. The problem is when you spend too much time there and you can't get out, right? The problem isn't sleeping or being active. A well-balanced life is that they are awake when they're meant to be awake and asleep when they're meant to be asleep. Same thing with your nervous system, is that you're able to navigate from one side of your nervous system to the other without issue. But when you're constantly activating your sensory system and your nervous system, constantly up, go, do, never really, not even sitting down to eat. When you sit down to eat and chew without screens, how often do you actually sit down without screens to eat your food? It regulates your nervous system. Just the act of chewing regulates your nervous system. How often do you ever just let yourself be bored? Do you ever just sit in the car, or drive in the car without noise, without listening to a podcast, just existing? This resets your nervous system. Even just gazing out at nature out of your window resets your nervous system. When you see a large expanse, it sends a message to your nervous system that we are safe. But if you're always looking close at a phone on a screen that's constantly giving you short-term content, or false senses of connection with people, you're feeding off of a constant stream of dopamine that's not received in the correct way that will support you. It's received in a way that will deplete you. So this go, do, constant stimulation, never actually having space in your day for the actual just basic needs. When you do your laundry, do you do your laundry? Or are you quickly doing your laundry so you can hurry on to other things? When you make your food, do you make your food and sit down and eat it? Or are you like, quick, we got to make our food and get on to other things? When you live in a go state, constantly consuming state, it will deplete you and you will not be able to access the higher brain functioning that is required long enough to create the change that you desire in your health goals. So those are the two things that are the most diabolical, obstructive blocks, barricades, obstacles for women that are within our society, nuanced all throughout our society, that are keeping women and men from reaching their health goals. Again, number one is diet culture and diet mentality. What should we do instead? Throw all that out and get connected with our bodies as a gift from God. All right, that's the first thing I always teach in workshops. It's the first thing I always teach in my program. And the second thing is this overachieving, a merit-based check off, go, go, go type mentality, it is depleting us. We are not creatures that are created to live life this way. Now, this isn't just a slow it down mentality. I'm all about accomplishing and doing, but can you do it with some margin? Rather than getting up for the day and go, 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 going, how about you get up and just go? Instead of do, why don't you just do the thing rather than doing all the things? There's this idea out there in our culture that women can have it all. They can have the family and the career and the fulfilling life, and they can be well performed and have all these extra hobbies, and they can have it all. If you try to have it all, you won't have it all. You will be owned by your life rather than living your life. So get really clear on what are the top roles that you value most in your life, and do those things in that order, and get rid of the rest. And you have to do this with intention. You have to do this with a razor sharp intensity of drawing a line in the sand. You need to have vision and clarity of how you want your life to look and feel, so that when an opportunity comes up, you can clearly assess it as it fits my vision or it does not. Really important. Otherwise, you will not have the room, space, or mental capacity to make meaningful changes. When you have stress, the first part of your brain that shuts off is the part of your brain that's used for creative, goal-setting type creative work, like what you want to create in your life, this vision type thinking. So if your system's overstressed, then guess what? The capacity of your brain to create the changes that you want start to shut down. All right, ladies, so instead we get really intentional and we get really clear on the basics of that. You have a body. It is your vessel here on this earth. You aren't out of time. You have time for all the things that you need to do, that you desire to do. And rather than doing, how about we just do? And instead of go, going, we just go and do the things that we desire to, with presence, with intentionality, by having a clear vision of how I want as I move throughout my life. All right, ladies, as always, like and share this and leave. If you can also scroll down on your podcast platform and leave reviews, share this so this message can be shared with other women. Please, please, please remember that women were not sent here to think about food and about losing fat all the time, but that you were sent here to thrive and create and to live out God's purpose and plan for you. Check the description below for information about working with me or more of my free content. All right, bye-bye.